What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I am your host, as always, Coach Steve. On today's episode, we are talking Week 5 waiver wire pickups and fool's gold. We're going to be talking about some players for you guys to pick up heading into Week 5 and talk about some players who basically are performing really well and if we should believe it's actual gold or fool's gold. So on today's episode, of course, our co-host, Coach Jibs. What's going on, Jibs?
What's up? What's going on?
Not much,
doing
man.
Good. How was your week 4?
Not too bad. Actually did pretty good for the most part. So I'm pretty hyped about that. How about yourself?
Pretty standard, I guess. But I know you've been kind of buried below with some L's in the week prior. So let's try to see how you're checking in. I went 8-4 total.
That's not bad. I haven't done mine yet. I have a lot of players to worry about. And I actually have a game where I'm up 100 points, and I'm still projected to lose. That's how my game is going. So we'll see how it goes tonight. So, and of course, we brought on another coach with us tonight, guys. Coach Justin. What's going on, Justin? Welcome to the show, man.
Had a great week 4. Yeah, doing good. Great week 4. Bears won, so I'm a happy man.
Well, you're not so happy about Dave Montgomery right now, though. So.
Waiting on that news still. No ACL, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, I hope we'll hear some more about that, and we'll be also talking about some guys who can help you if you lost Dave Montgomery for the week, guys. So to talk about the news real quick, DJ Shark, if you haven't watched last night's game, he is on the IR, done for the year. Really screwed me over. It's one of my leagues. Joe Mixon has a low-grade ankle sprain. He is day-to-day. It was confirmed at week-to-week, but now as of today, he did limited practice, so more than likely he should be fine, but we'll see. Dave Montgomery, we haven't got a official confirmation yet, but he supposedly not torn his ACL, which is a great news for him, but who knows what it is and how long he's actually going to be out. We still don't have those yet. His backup, if more than likely he's going to miss at least Week 5, Damian Williams has a thigh bruise, should be okay to start if Montgomery is out. Will Fuller is week to week with a broken finger, but he is confirmed out for Week 5. Jimmy G got a calf injury, and he's likely out a couple weeks, but keep in mind that they do a bye week in Week 6, so it's only really possibly 1 week he is missing. And then Teddy Bridgewater, concussion protocol right now, it's uncertain if he's going to be ready for Week 5 just yet. So that is most of the news for this week, guys, and we're going to get right into our topics for the day. So, of course, talking waiver wires. And on today, we got the quarterback pickups. So, Justin, we'll let you go first, man. Who is your quarterback to pick up this week?
Yeah, if he is still a free agent in your league and you need a quarterback, Sam Darnold's my guy. He's only owned in 44% of leagues. I've been lucky enough to have him since week 2, so he's been performing great for me thus far. He's had 300 passing yards in every single week except for week 1, even though he had 280 there. He's already hit his rushing touchdown prop on the season, guys. It was actually 4 or 4.5. He's already beaten that, so we see that we're going to be getting rushing touchdowns from him. The CMC's still out a little bit. That forces him to throw the ball even more as well. And he's actually got a pretty nice schedule, I will say, coming up. Next week he plays Philly, who Philly's been playing good, but Minnesota and then the Giants after that. So I like Sam Darnold, guys.
Yeah, honestly, he was my top QB pickup this week. Yeah, he's really impressed everyone, I think, in the fantasy world, kind of showing that give this man some weapons and he will help you out in fantasy football. So love that there, Justin. Coach Jibs, what do we got for a quarterback pickup this week?
For me, my option is not like a season-long kind of thing. This is just your 1-week streamer wonder, and I'm going to go with Jameis Winston, even with the Taysom Hill debauchery going on, stealing touchdowns from everyone. But next week, Jameis Winston and the Saints are going against the Washington football team, whose defense we all thought were otherworldly, and they're kind of pretty much down to earth. But the Washington football team has allowed 8 passing touchdowns over the last 2 weeks, 4 in each game. They had Josh Allen scored 37 fantasy points, and Matt Ryan, who's been literally the poster boy of subparness for the quarterback position this year, had 29 fantasy points. So I know Jameis hasn't been like anything since his week 1 delivery, and he's been pretty mediocre since, scoring just 10 and 13 fantasy points. But I believe with the matchup in hand, I think he could actually get to a 20-point plateau, even with Taysom Hill kind of tinkering in.
All right, I like that a lot there. I'm hoping that Taysom Hill is not a thing because that was rough to watch him score 2 touchdowns last week. So we can only hope Sean Payton's listening to us right now and listening to us, but he's probably not. So definitely not. So for me, guys, I was going to go Mac Jones, but again, that's more of a week thing. But for me, I'm going to go with Tyler Heineke, the Washington football team quarterback right now. And Tyler Heineke is, again, he's had some, for the most part, decent matchups, but he's producing as a QB1 right now. I know he got saved maybe last week with the touchdown from Terry McLaurin, but he's performing, and he's looking good out there. I mean, he's averaging over 20 fantasy points per week. He's got the Saints. It's not the best matchup, but Daniel Jones was able to put up a good number on him, and they got Kansas City, Green Bay, some relatively matchups where they're going to have to throw the ball more than likely because their defense is really bad, apparently. Especially in that secondary. So it's going to force Tyler Heineke to throw. Ryan Fitzpatrick's probably got another at least 4 weeks before he even considers coming back from this injury. But I don't know if they're going to even do that. They might just keep him in all season. I mean, he's looked good. Why take away a quarterback who's looked good for this team? I think if you're looking for QB depth on your team that you might not be liking, maybe a Ryan Tannehill right now, or Lamar Jackson because they're not performing to standards, you could go and scoop up Tyler Heineke and put him on your bench and see if maybe he can kind of give you a spark that you need until maybe one of your starters starts getting it together right now. I think he's a good short-term investment that could end up being a long-term investment for the future. So, and a couple other guys, like I mentioned, Mac Jones has the Houston Texans this week. That could be a good matchup. Jared Goff, he's got a matchup against the Vikings. That could be a shootout potential. If you're looking to start Trey Lance, you think he's going to throw magic. He's available out there under 40% right now. That could be interesting. This against the Cardinals for week 5. Who else? Who else did I have up here? Daniel Jones. He's still under the 40% mark, and he's top. I think he's QB5. We'll talk about him later, but he's up there right now. And Jacoby Brissett, he didn't play as well. He does versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're just so bad against secondaries right now. So bad secondary right now that they're going to be able to possibly throw the ball at least for once. What's up, Kyle? Thanks for joining in, buddy. So those are some quarterback pickups for you guys for this week coming. Heading over to the running backs now. And Justin, who's your first running back pickup you want this week?
Yeah, only rostered in 44% of leagues. This is going to be more for PPR leagues just because we don't know what's going on here with the running game. But I'm talking about Kenneth Gainwell, Eagles running back. Very young, 22 years old only, from Memphis, if you guys don't know who he was coming out of college. I just want to state the bad first. I don't know what's going on with the Eagles running the ball wise. The last 2 weeks, Miles Sanders and Kenneth have both barely touched the ball. It's been a lot more Hurts throwing and Hurts running. But for PPR leagues, Kenneth Gainwell has out-targeted and touched the ball receiving-wise more than Miles has. Last week, he had 8 targets, 10 receptions, 58 yards came from that, and he actually vultured a touchdown. We also saw that week 1. Down the line, I think Kenneth could be someone that you might throw in as a flex play versus an easy matchup. Or we know Miles Sanders, he gets banged up pretty easy. I mean, maybe he gets hurt down the line. You can start him for a week. I think this could be a really good pickup.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot there. I think we mentioned him last week, and I know Jibbs mentioned him.
Sleeper, baby.
This past week. He's pretty much close to the number 1 pickup as you can possibly get right now because his role is on and off there. And if they just decided to move on from Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell seems to be producing in this Eagles offense at this moment, not doing a lot of. So I like that one there a lot. Coach Jibbs, who do we got for you, man? What do you got?
And Gainwell, I guess the Eagles can't run just because we just can't keep a lead or get the lead to start. So if you're playing behind, it's going to be the Gainwell show apparently. But one running back that's a little bit more owned would be Latavius Murray. Just get a piece of that Ravens backfield. I believe Fantasy Pro has him at 47 on Yahoo, 34% on ESPN. So just check if he's out there. For me, I'm just following what the coaches are going, because if we were all clamoring for Tyson Williams getting 15 carries a week or so and barely just being like a touchdown-dependent running back 3 in most cases, I'm going to have to go with Latavius Murray as well, just because they took him out of the equation, Tyson Williams, and he got 18 carries, albeit it was only for 59 yards, which is terrible efficiency. But I think there's going to be better matchups ahead of him. The Ravens obviously are going to run the ball, and if he's going to be the main portion of the options, we also saw Le'Veon Bell get pretty much little to no touches. I think it was like 3 or 4 or 5, and the same with Devonta Freeman. So if he's going to be the main piece in the option, I know I'm not probably going to want to start him, but I'm definitely adding him off the waiver wire.
No, I like that. I know he's hitting that 40 mark close, but if he's out there, definitely go get him, because he could end up being the starter through the rest of the season. So love that there, Jibs. For me, guys, this is a pretty obvious one. If you're into injuries, you know that David Montgomery, mentioned it already, is likely to probably be out at least this week. We have no idea yet. But Damian Williams, take your step up again, my friend. As a starting role, again, he has an injury himself, but it seemed like he's okay. He's going to probably see at least the majority of the workload in this matchup, since there's literally no one else there at this moment. Well, I might mention another guy later, but again, opportunity knocks. And in small doses, Damian Williams can produce really good fantasy numbers for you. He played well last week. He had 59 yards rushing, I believe, and then he had a couple catches in the air, and he ran for a touchdown. And now they're going to be versing the Las Vegas Raiders, who are pretty much average at best against running backs. You saw, them kind of give up a lot of rushing yards. And depending on who plays quarterback, they're going to need somebody to rush the ball, especially if it's Fields, because obviously they don't want to let him just control the ball the whole time. Damian Harris is definitely someone you could pick up. I think all these guys, for the most part, probably worth at least 20% of your fab or so if you're in need of running back at least. I think that's the kind of consensus overall when it comes to these 3 running backs this week, because they all couldn't give you some kind of impactfulness this coming season. So, all right, Coach Justin, give us the number 2 running back to pick up for you this week.
Yeah, I'm digging a little deeper here. This is also because of injury, but this injury is going to be the whole season long. Brandon Bolden, New England Patriot running back, he's only rostered in 4% of leagues. James White owners specifically, if you shared any kind of share in James White and you saw how well he performed week 1 and 2 receiving wise, you definitely will have trust in Brandon here. He is the clear-cut fill-in for the receiving back in New England. He caught all 6 of his targets last game. He only ran the ball once, but again, I'm talking more PPR formatted for Brandon here. He's going to get all the looks out of the backfield, and Mac Jones seems like a quarterback that's been loving to do that so far this year. So he's definitely someone that will most likely see 5 to 7 targets at least a game. So Brandon, pick him up. Waiver wire, only 4% of leagues. So those deeper, more competitive leagues, I like him.
It's a good pivot.
I was on mute. Sorry, guys.
I thought I was bugging.
No, I was on mute. I apologize. I put my thing on mute for a second there. But no, Justin, that is a great call there. Honestly, I had that as one of my RB pickups this week as well. I had him there last week, if I'm not mistaken. So, Coach Gibbs, what do you got for your RB2?
My second one would be Damian Williams, but just for another pivot down low, just give the listener some more options. Just take a look into some JP Ryan and or Chris Evans in even deeper leagues, just because we saw Joe Mixon last year. Oh, he's going to be out a couple weeks, and guess what? Kept going and going and going and going until injuries are what they are. He says he's day-to-day, but those things could pop up in any kind of awkward tackle. So we did see Samaje Perine get a little bit more run than Chris Evans when Joe Mixon was kind of officially done in the last kind of couple minutes of the fourth quarter. So just keep an eye out for it. You don't have to spend anything unless the Joe Mixon manager is bugging, but maybe 1% of your fab if you're really trying to acquire him. And then obviously in competitive leagues and deeper leagues, you're probably going to have to spend more because sometimes running backs don't really pop up that often. So take it how it is. But Samaje Perine's my number 2 guy for this week.
That was my backup plan there. No, he's performed at times. I mean, he's nothing special, but he's a fill-in running back for a week if you need an RB. So there's a lot of injuries this year at the running back position already. So love that. And I guess for my last one, and this one is just you pick them up and see kind of what happens through this week of practice, especially with the Titans, especially A.J. Brown and Julio Jones if they happen to miss another week, which is possible. Jeremy McNichols, he had 8 targets. He had 12 targets with 8 receptions last week.
How many yards did he get?
I forget how many yards offhand. Hold on,
I just felt like I watched a good portion of that game, and he caught like a lot of passes, like maybe 1 yard in front of the line of scrimmage, and got like tackled immediately. So I don't know.
4 yards receiving on the day. Again, this is like if you're like desperate for a running back, and you can see maybe if he sees this role again, because obviously Ryan Tannehill is not targeting for wide receivers in the field. It's not a great pickup. I wouldn't go nuts about it. If you get a 1% of your fab on it, if you get him, if you don't, whatever. It's not a big stressor, but Titans defense is really bad, and it seems like they're going to be playing a lot of shootout situations this year. And it seems like McNichols, at least for right now, until Darrington Evans comes back, he has possibly a role in the receiving game, especially with his wide receivers out right now. So he's my number 2. I didn't like it, but the running back pool is really bad right now. Again, you could also say Alex Collins with Chris Carson kind of on and off, it seems like. Savon Ahmed and Malcolm Brown, because Malcolm Brown seemed to be the workhorse in Miami for what little it is right now. But again, I don't trust that as a Dolphins fan. I read into that. Darrell Williams, he sees work at times. Rodney Smith, if somehow the Panthers are behind in their matchup this week, he saw 5 targets in that game. Tariq Cohen and Jeff Wilson are still great ads on the IRs because they should be coming back sooner than later. In deeper leagues, Khalid Herbert, the Chicago Bears running back, the rookie, if Damian Williams doesn't progress throughout the week possibly, maybe he gets a shot at the starting role. If anything, sees an increased opportunity. So those are the running backs this week. Again, it's not a great running back week again, fortunately, but that's what we got. So on to the wide receivers now, guys. Coach Justin, what do we have as your first wide receiver pickup?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jameson Crowder here. He's rostered in only 27% of leagues. He was out the first 3 weeks due to an injury. I don't remember what that injury was at the time, but he was out the first 3 weeks. And last week was his first week back. He picked up right where he left off last year. Crowder was, I would say, a valuable flex play last season. And he had 9 targets, 7 receptions, right? Yeah, 7 receptions, and also found the end zone. Game script plays very well into his play. I mean, the Jets are always down. They'll always be passing the ball. And honestly, he could be a little safe spot for Zach Wilson. Just a little cut. His yards per catch are usually only 10 yards, something like that. So I kind of like him for receptions and low yard games, but a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, no, I like that. Jameson Crowder, it seems like the New York Jets just love the slot role. We saw Braxton Berrios kind of do well the first 3 weeks, and you saw Jameson Crowder come out for week 1 and week 4 now and just play really well. So clearly he has a role in this offense here, especially that they're going to probably be behind in games, which will force him to throw. So it's a great one. Coach Gibbs, what do you got?
He was my number 1. He's just a great security blanket for Zach Wilson, in my opinion. So, and I think the Jets are going to run the table with him back. 0-3 without Crowder, 1-0 with Crowder. But my number 2 guy, or my number 1 now, is going to be A.J. Green. He's not really anything splashy. He gets 6 targets. He usually catches 4 or 5 receptions, but he's scored double-digit PPR points over the last 3 weeks. He has a touchdown in 2 out of the last 3 games, and then when he didn't score a touchdown, he did lead the team or had over 100 yards receiving. So I know he could be a little volatile with the sheer amount of weapons in that Arizona Cardinals offense. And even DeAndre Hopkins didn't really put in a good performance. So you're going to have some hits or misses with them, but Green's shown pretty consistent effort so far. And they look like they want to get on the ball, especially when they're a little bit closer near the red zone. So I like A.J. Green. And they get the who they get? No.
They play the 49ers this week. Yeah. I like the matchup for him, though. And that was my number one pickup, actually, this week. So, damn you, Jibs. I'll just pivot. I'll find someone else here. I'm going to go a different direction here. I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown, Detroit Lions. He had a decent week. He finally did something that was worth eye-opening. He was he had 6 receptions on 8 targets for 70 yards. Again, nothing flashy, but he put a step in the right direction. When we talked about St. Brown as a guy who was a breakout rookie candidate all offseason, this was the guy who was going to see a good target workload and be really good. He was lightning in camp. It was great to watch him, and now I think he's starting to finally pick it up, hopefully. I'd rather buy into him alone now if I can than while he actually has a breakout game and everyone's trying to get him. So for me, after the 2 guys that was already mentioned, I think he's my number 3 at this point. And then kind of stash him on your bench and see if you can kind of continue this trend. It's hard to trust a Detroit Lions wide receiver, but eventually someone ends up has to do something in this offense here. So he's my first pickup on my end. So, Coach Justin, my friend, back to you. Who do you have as your second wide receiver pickup?
Yeah, not a long-term player, but someone to keep an eye out for this upcoming week and maybe week 6 if injuries keep giving him a bigger role. But wide receiver Kadarius Toney, New York Giants rookie. It's Slayton, and if Slayton continues to be out and Sterling Shepard continues to be out, it's nothing serious with them. But if they are out this next week, Toney is a great play. He plays Dallas next week, and last week was his real first feel, I feel like, as a Giants player. He was forced into a bigger role again with those injuries, and he had 9 targets, 6 catches, 80 yards. He also had a shot in the end zone. Unfortunately, the pass was incomplete, but he could be someone that Daniel Jones relies on down the field. He's a pass-first quarterback, although they have Saquon. He is a pass-first quarterback, and Toney could be their second option as long as Slayton and Sterling continue to be injured. But we'll keep an eye out on that because those injuries are not going to be long term.
Yeah, no, I like that there, especially for short term, especially in week 5. You know, they play the Cowboys. So, I mean, Toney seemed to be very much used in this offense here, which was great for people who, well, probably many people believed in Toney, but it was great to see some kind of positive to his game so far. So that's a great pickup there. Coach Jibbs, what do you got for us?
We just keep stealing each other's picks now. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Van Jefferson plays for the Los Angeles Rams. We saw his blow-up game week 1, and it was on 2 catches, but he got caught a long touchdown. And then he kind of was stagnant week 2, but then he has back-to-back weeks with 6 targets. We caught 4 receptions and 42 yards the week prior. But last week, or just yesterday, he caught 6 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. We're seeing Matt Stafford just spread the ball around, and obviously Cooper Kupp is his main target, and he seemed to kind of get away from him as the game progressed, and he was taking the easier options as they were down, getting Van Jefferson into play. But the wide receiver is going to be nonsensical week to week. We're still pretty much all begging for Robert Woods to get back on track. So this is pretty much like not a vote of confidence for that happening, but even so, I think Van Jefferson should be like a guy you add if you're really in a deep league. He could be a flex starter for you going against the Seahawks if you're really trying to shoot for some upside. But I do like Van Jefferson, what he's shown over the last 2 weeks, being a more consistent role in the offense.
Stole another one of mine again, Jibs. But it made my decision between 2 people. So I had Van Jefferson up there as well. My other one is KJ Osborne. You know, he's had back-to-back kind of dud games after being really good the first 2 weeks, but he did end up getting 7 targets in this last game here. They do play the Detroit Lions, and, you know, Dalvin Cook's still a little banged up, so they might elect to throw the ball a little bit more. They're 0-4 too, so this Vikings team is getting ridiculously probably frustrated. Let's just go out there and beat them. And KJ Osborne could end up having a really good fantasy day, and he's only owned in like 25% of leagues. He's definitely someone I think has big upside play this week. So if you're looking for that, again, it's risky, but it's an upside play for him against the Detroit Lions, who just haven't been really good that much all season. So for me, KJ Osborne is my number 2 pickup, guys. And some other guys, Khalid Raymond, he's pretty impressed the last 2 weeks now. He kind of had a flip-flop with KJ Osborne. Quintez Cephas had another solid outing. Cedric Wilson's had back-to-back touchdown weeks now, so that's interesting. Zach Pascal is just continually just not being picked up, but he's performing to some standard, a level there. And then just 2 guys that continue to stash from now, and hopefully they come out soon. Rashad Bateman, I think he could have he's probably going to play in week 5, so he's definitely someone that you should probably consider picking up if you can still. And T.Y. Hilton is still on the IR, I believe, so he's someone you can pick up and stash, and hopefully he can kind of come back and help this Colts offense out a little bit. So those are our wide receiver pickups. And over to the tight ends now. Coach Justin, who's your tight end pickup this week?
Dawson Knox for me, Buffalo Bills. He is owned in 15% of leagues, so this is more of a little higher. He might not be available in some of those leagues that you're in, but Dawson Knox is might be the only red zone target for Josh Allen. He has now scored 4 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. He had 2 last week. And we saw this last year too. I was a Josh Allen and Diggs owner last season, and I remember getting so frustrated because Knox would always steal those tutties. And this year, it looks like it's gonna be the same thing. He's getting more looks than he did last season, which should make owners feel more safe picking him up. He got 8 targets last game, and Buffalo will always be a pass-first team. Even when they're up in games, they still pass the ball. So I love Dawson Knox, and he might be more on the touchdown-dependent side, but if you're in need of a tight end, Knox is a safe guy to pick up.
Yeah, he's definitely stepping up this year, and so somewhat of a breakout season right now. I mean, he's being a tight end one, and then that's the important part to realize that if you're looking for a tight end, there's tight ends out there, and he's definitely someone who's performing to standard right now. I don't know if it's legit, and we'll get to that later, but yeah, he's definitely someone that right now is worthy of picking up. So I like that. Coach Gibbs, who do we got with your tight end pickup?
He's obviously number 1, but I'm just going to follow what the Patriots did. I'm going to go Hunter Henry as my number 2 guy. Even though he's sharing the backfield or the tight end room with Jonnu Smith has kind of just degressed as the season has gone away. He's recording lower and lower and lower yardage as the season goes on. He scored a touchdown last week, which is good. And Henry also scored a touchdown, but he's at least getting you 30 yards in each game so far. So I'll go with the consistent kind of basis. But Houston allows the 4th most points to tight end, so maybe you'll get lucky this week. That's all I got to say. But go grab Dawson Knox. Don't try to get these guys.
Well, for me, my number 1 pickup, it has to be, where is it? Dalton Schultz. He's on the 40% mark still, actually. I checked. I missed him on my initial lookup when I was looking up pickups, and I was like, Dalton Schultz, I don't see him on here. Why? And I was like, oh, because I completely missed him. And you should definitely not miss on Dalton Schultz right now. He has been very productive right now in fantasy football. He is continuing to see way more in targets than his counterpart, Blake Jarwin, right now. He's got 2 games of at least tight end 1 numbers, and he's got at least 6 catches in 3 of 4 games so far. And he plays the New York Giants this week, who are the 4th worst against tight ends. And the team who's not throwing the ball a lot, the tight ends seem to be getting the ball still. He's definitely someone you want to go after if you're looking for a tight end right now. I don't know if it's going to change. I guess I don't want to give too much away, but when Michael Gallup comes back, because he is eligible. So if Michael Gallup's out there, look for him too. But he's performing right now, and that's what you want in tight end, someone who's actually going to give you tight end 1 numbers, because it's very rare to have a tight end that actually gives that to you right now. So for me, he is my tight end pickup of the week. A couple other guys. Pat Freiermuth continues to see more snaps than Eric Ebron. Zach Ertz is only 21% owned out there combined. He definitely needs to be higher up there because he's very involved in this offense. Tyler Conklin still has his opportunity. Gerald Everett, Darren Arnold saw some work with the Jags for his first game. See if that picks up. Anthony Fersker didn't really do much, but it was his first game back from injury. Maxwell Williams is continuing to see on and off good games. I don't know really what to make of that, besides I don't want it, but he's doing something. Mo Ali Cox had a good game, but that was his first good game all season. Same with CJ Uzama. I'm not really thrilled with one-game wonders like that. So, but those are the tight ends for the week, guys. So we're done with the waiver wire part of our show today, and we're not done yet, guys. We have our second part here. It's called Fool's Gold. Basically, some players who are performing to high standards right now, and we want to make sure that we're not buying fake gold right now. So we'll start with the quarterback situation. I did a poll on Twitter for all of this. The quarterbacks here, the first three are the quarterbacks. And quarterback 1 is Sam Darnold, QB5 right now. Then we have Daniel Jones, QB6 right now. And then we have Tyler Heineke, QB13 right now. And granted, he missed week 1. So, Justin, I'll let you go first. Who is the real one out of this bunch here? Or are they all real?
Yeah, I think it's actually a clear answer here, and it's the one I was raving about earlier, Sam Darnold. I'll start off by saying I don't think Heineke is going to be fantasy relevant whatsoever down the line. So, sorry Heineke, sorry the bash, buddy, but I am not a fan here. Daniel Jones, I'll go with him second. I was real high on him on the offseason, if I'm being completely honest. I really thought he could have had a top 7 season. Right now, he's so far doing that. Right? You said 6? He was 6?
Yes.
Yeah. I think he can continue this down the line, but I don't think he is an every week starting quarterback. Unlike my man Sam Darnold, who I have him first, and it looks like he will be a number 1 quarterback every week. Not number 1, like startable every week. Between the three, he is the number 1.
Okay. All right. So it's Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and Tyler Heineke for Justin.
Yeah.
All right. Coach Jibbs, what about you? How do you feel about these 3 quarterbacks?
Well, Sam, I think they're all fool's gold to be a sense, but
Ooh, you're going fool's gold on them.
No. Whoa, I'm just saying, like, because you got to think about it. Like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, they're buried on that QB leaderboard, and I think as the season progresses, they'll kind of even out and they'll kind of lower the rank. But Sam Darnold, I think Tyler Heineke's fool's gold. That's
okay.
There we go. Yeah.
And then I think Sam Darnold, he's pretty good. I know his rushing touchdowns have inflated his stat line for the year, but without Christian McCaffrey, you could see a little bit more influence on that. So I think he could be a guy who's going to get you within like a 22-point range in a 4-point per passing touchdown league on a constant basis. I think he's going to be the most consistent out of the group. Daniel Jones, I'm a little bit worried, but he's been balling this year as well, and you really can't take an account. Like I know last game he had pretty much an extra quarter to kind of deliver his numbers, but with that rushing load, I think with both of these quarterbacks utilizing their rushing ability, I think these guys could be low-end starters at the end of the season. And then Heineke, I'm not a believer in the football team. They get all the garbage time they want.
Okay. So for me, guys, Sam Darnold, I think, is real. I think, you saw the weapons around him. He needed that to make a situation happen, and he's clearly thriving with this weapon core that he has around him. And just wait till he gets Christian McCaffrey back. I mean, it's just going to be stable. So I like him a lot this year. I think his season is set. He's got some matchup against some division rivals that are bad defenses right now, aka the Bucs secondary. So that is something to look forward to. Tyler Heineke is second for me. I think he's somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's completely fool's gold. I like Tyler Heineke. I told you that why I liked him as a pickup this week. And I think he's got enough weapons as long as Logan Thomas can come back. He just got Curtis Samuel back right now. If they keep him in, yeah, he's going to be good. I think he's going to be great. If they obviously go back to Ryan Fitzpatrick just like that, and there's the fool's gold that I got fooled with. But I think the offense is going to be good enough that they're going to have to play a lot of catch up, and it's going to just presume fantasy points for you. So I like Kyle Heineke. I think he is for real. The only one I don't like is Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is real. He's had the Denver Broncos week 1 in a game where week 1 you just don't really know what's going to happen there. And the last 3 weeks he's had matchups that are, for the most part, not too good matchups. And the Saints was a tough matchup. there. But the Saints, I don't think defense is that good as many people say they are. Outside of that Green Bay game, they've allowed a lot of fantasy points there. So for me, I think Daniel Jones is the fool's gold there. I think there's a lot of tough matchups coming down the stretch here for him and a lot of division games he's got to worry about still. For me, Daniel Jones is mine. On the Twitter poll, though, it was Sam Darnold as the most realist one of the bunch, followed by Daniel Jones and then by Tyler Heineke. 150 votes, 45% said Sam Darnold. All right, so over to the running backs now, guys. There's 3 running backs here. Cordell Patterson is currently RB4. Kareem Hunt is currently RB5, and Chase Edmonds is currently RB15. I didn't have another running back in the top 10, so I went a little deeper. Chase Edmonds seemed to be the weirdest out of the bunch. So, Coach Justin, who is for real in this group?
Oh, this is hard. Here's the thing about Patterson for me. Is he real as in running back 4? Hell no. But I think I'm a believer. I think he could be a low-end RB2 flex play every week. I mean, he's listed as a running back wide receiver in most leagues, so that does help. And he's getting 6-7 receptions every game on top of 7-8 rushes a game. So I like him, but I think he's fool's gold when it comes to being a top 5 at his position. Not even top 10. He won't be a top 10 guy the whole year, but he could be a start. Kareem Hunt, I would say he's the realest out of the bunch. He would be my number 1 out of the 3. Just because it is a clear 50-50 in Cleveland. And this year we're actually seeing Hunt getting some red zone looks too. Usually it's every time goal line, it's Chubb. But we're seeing Hunt getting some end zone looks. So I think he's the realest out of the 3. Chase Edmonds in a similar situation. It's a clear 50-50 committee there. He gets all the catches. So I think, dude, this is tough to rate him here, who to put in what order. But I think Hunt's the realest out of the 3. And the other 2 are potential starts, but I don't think they'll keep up what they're currently doing.
Okay. I like the opinion there. I like that. Coach Jibbs, what do you have for you, my friend? Which of these are the realest for you?
Oh, wow. I think the realist is I'm skeptical on like Cordell Patterson's usage. Like he's playing a low snap count, but he's actually delivering. He actually has a 4-for-4 red zone completion rate. So like every time he's targeted in the red zone, he gets a touchdown. So we've seen that over the last 2 weeks. But Mike Davis is still playing like a bulk load of snaps, and that could go any way. I know they probably want to prioritize Cordell Patterson and the receiving game, but I'm just almost there to believe him. I don't believe him. He's a top 4 running back for the year, but like I'm a believer now than I was 3 years ago or even 2 weeks ago when I kind of laughed that he was a waiver wire option. Kareem Hunt, I think it's fool's gold. We know what his role is in the offense. He is the backup running back to Nick Chubb, and we see the touchdowns. They could vary. Like Chubb could have a 2-score game next week, and Hunt's basically left on the fodder with just low points. And I think they'll vary, but like kudos to Hunt for getting 2 touchdowns back-to-back games and just delivering the Browns a win. And then Edmonds is weird because, yes, he's playing 50-50 with Connor, but Connor's basically just plowing him into the red zone. He's not really efficient on the ground, where Chase Edmonds going to utilize maybe not as much as the top running backs in the league. He's getting at least 10 carries a game. And then he's also adding you some receiving work. So, like in half PPR leagues, I think he's a perfect guy. Like I don't think he's exceeded any of his value, but I also don't think he's disappointed either. So, I think Edmonds is real. Patterson, I'm kind of in between, and then Hunt, I think is fool's gold stuff.
Okay.
But I'd rather have Hunt, Edmonds, and Patterson if I had a preference between all of them.
Gotcha. Because I'm kind of on the same boat, honestly. I think the realest one of that, where they're ranked is Chase Edmonds. I think Chase Edmonds could be the 15th RB by the end of the season, and yes, he's getting the red zones taken away by James Conner, which sucks, but he's seeing the receptions there. He's seeing almost like 5 receptions a game, basically. He's running well enough. Granted, he like had a 50-yard run this week that helped his fantasy week better, but he's seeing the workload. This is a high-power offense here, and they're using Chase Edmonds. His role is not going anywhere, and God forbid they're behind in games. Chase Edmonds is going to be on the field the entire time. So for me, Edmonds is the most least fool's gold that I can think of currently. Would I rather have the other two possibly over him currently? Yes, because I think they can be in that area as well. Next for me, it would have to be Cordell Patterson, because I think maybe at some point, if he keeps this efficiency up, they have to use him more. He's being used so little in this offense right now. There's no way he stays as RB4, but he has the opportunity to see a bigger workload as the season progresses, because Mike Davis is being very inefficient with his workload, while Cordell Patterson is seeing the effectiveness right now. And last is, like Jib said, Kareem Hunt. Like, I love Kareem Hunt. I think if I wanted to have anyone, I would want to have Kareem Hunt because he's consistent, but he's not RB5 consistent. I mean, he's the backup to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is RB9 right now. Nick Chubb just hasn't got the touchdowns that we want. I think they were at the 1-yard line, and it was 4th and 1, and unfortunately the touchdown went to Hunt instead of Chubb. It's just the way it is sometimes, and it's going to happen like that where Hunt sees like 2 touchdown games for a couple of weeks, and then he's going to be a goose for a couple of weeks, and then he'll come back. I don't see him staying at RB5 at all this season. His role is just, we know what his role is. He's going to have games where he's going to explode. That's all I can say. All right, so the Twitter poller said that 52% of people said 55% said Kareem Hunt is the realest. Cordell Patterson's 25 and Chase Edmonds 19. So we weren't agreeing with Twitter. So over to the next group here. Actually had a comment here. Chubb scored 3 touchdowns in week 1 and 2. That's exactly right, Kyle. So he's going to score the next 2 weeks then. That means. So the wide receivers here now. We have Deebo Samuels at wide receiver 3, DJ Moore at wide receiver 4, Mike Williams currently at wide receiver 5. Could change tonight. And Hollywood Brown at wide receiver 9. Who is the realest out of the bunch, guys? Coach Justin.
I have to see the 4th one.
There's 4. Yeah, we got 4. Okay, I was about to say that. Okay, those first 3, gold for me. I'll just get that out of the way, dude. Oh my God, I love all of these guys so much. DJ Moore especially. I actually had a little thing 2 weeks ago. He was my biggest buy low. There's no way you're buying him for low now. He is legit, and as far as where he stands right now, I truly believe that he will end the season as the top 10 wide receiver as long as he stays healthy, of course. Even if CMC does come back, he is going to come back. When he does come back, DJ will still be highly used in the offense, but up until then, it's pretty much the entire offense goes to him. So he's the realest out of the bunch for me. Debo is real close right there. I have a share in Debo, so I might be a little bit more favored towards him, but he is the number 1 option in San Francisco. People might be saying that now, but when I was saying that 2 weeks ago, everyone was looking at me like I'm crazy, but it is clear that he is the number 1 option there. Doesn't matter which quarterback too. We saw Trey Lance get in there because Jimmy got hurt, and who had 2 touchdowns? Debo. Debo is going to be their guy for the whole year. I'm a little nervous because he does have injury-prone history, but I love Debo. Him and DJ are real close, and I think they can end the year top 10 for sure. DJ especially. Mike Williams, same boat, honestly. He's doing great. We'll see him tonight. Watch me hype him up. He just has a poop game tonight, but I really like him. Herbie is the throw-first guy. Nothing else really to say there. I mean, his stats do the talking for him. He gets all these targets, all these receptions, and he produces and seems to be the red zone guy over Keenan. The only non-gold for me, or fool's gold for me, is Hollywood. He'll be good, but he just won't be consistent.
I like it. I like it a lot. Coach Jibbs, what do we got?
All right, I'm with Justin, but I'm just going to bracket 2 and 2. So DJ Moore, exceptional player this year. I wish I got a lot more shares of him. He's Sam Darnold's main guy. He's pretty much, I think, off the top of my head, he hasn't gotten less than like 8 targets a game or so. So like he's the number one option there, and he's coming through week to week basis. So Mike Williams finally happened, 4 or 5 years, but seems like the Chargers finally getting going in the red zone. He's definitely huge red zone threat. He's just actually on the field, and I think he's like very in sync with Herbert this year. I think he's everything that they needed, and sucks that Keenan Allen can't be the same, but he's a possession receiver. So I think both DJ Moore and Mike Williams are the real deal. Deebo Samuel, I believe he's gold this year. He's not going to finish wide receiver 3, and I think there's going to be some fluctuations with Trey Lance coming in. I know he had that big play last week, but you still got to get Kittle involved. There's still other people that's going to be involved in probably coach speak or whatever. They're going to want to get him involved too. But Deebo is going to be a short option for Trey Lance, and he's going to utilize him a lot. So we'll see how defenses play up to him nowadays, but still explosive start to the season after a guy who's been riddled with injuries over the last 2 years. And Hollywood Brown, I think it's fool's gold, but like the guy's been spectacular since the end of, I guess, the midway point of last season. He has 9 out of 10 games with double-digit points in PPR. You see this year, I think, besides his 2 drops against the Lions, he could have had a fantastic day there, and he would have had 4 straight touchdown passes in all the games so far. So we're going to see what happens when they actually get the running back. If they get the running back group together, we're going to see how Rashad Bateman impacts that offense as well. So you got to just take in consideration some of the things. We saw Sammy Watkins be a good wide receiver for him for the first 2 weeks, but there's going to be a lot of growing pains with that offense. But the one good thing is, like we saw yesterday, the Ravens are letting Lamar throw, and it seems like if he could get 300 yards passing, although some of it came on big plays, there might be some room for all of them, but I'm a little skeptical on Marquise Brown just because of the weapons, and still Mark Andrews has to be involved in a consistent basis as well. So.
Okay. Quickly, again, for me, guys, you guys pretty much said it. DJ Moore and Mike Williams, they're at the top of the list. They're real. I believe in them this year. Everything makes sense for them. They're a wide receiver 1 and 2 that are seeing big target workloads in an offense, and he's going to throw the ball consistently. Number 3 for me is actually Hollywood Brown. I don't think he's gold per se, but he has been producing for multiple games now. Even going back into last season, Lamar Jackson is throwing more. We don't know what Rashad Bateman's going to do to that offense. That could be the biggest issue there. But the fact that he's producing still, the run game just seems to be – they don't know what to do in the run game. Besides making sure they get 100 yards in that game, they really don't have a good run game. So they might be forced to throw the ball more than we want them to. And Hollywood Brown is looking good this year. And if he not have dropped the ball last week, he probably would have had 4 straight weeks of great numbers. I don't think that really goes away unless he gets hurt personally. So I'm in the middle with him. I don't think he's fool's gold. I do think Deebo Samuel is fool's gold still. 2 of his biggest plays this past season were off broken defenses, and he just happened to outsprint them to a touchdown. I'm not saying that's not an impressive thing because I know I couldn't do it. But I don't believe he's going to see this heavy workload consistently enough. I know he's been seeing it, but George Kittle has done nothing. And I think Brandon Ayuk will figure it out by this midseason. I don't know what's going on with him right now. I don't know why he's not being targeted, but I think he will get involved. The run game is going to improve as the season goes on. They're going to get healthier players like McMitchell and Wilson. I just don't think he's going to keep up this wide receiver 3-like status. So, and then real quick for the Twitter polls, DJ Moore is obviously 63% real, followed by Mike Williams, then Deebo, and then honestly, Hollywood Brown got 0 votes. So,
oh God, I would have should have
Hollywood. So yeah, so poor guy. But going over to the tight ends now, we have 2 tight ends real quick here, guys. Dawson Knox is at tight end 5, and Dalton Schultz at tight end 3. Which one's the real one?
Can they both be real? Tight ends suck.
If you want them to both be real.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, this is actually tough. I mean, like, they're right next to each other right now. I feel like it's all preference at this point. I mean, Knox is going to be a more touchdown dependent player, and Bolden seems to get more receptions. So, I don't know. This is hard. I don't want to say they're gold. I don't think either of them are gold. But if you're struggling for a tight end. I know both of those guys are probably 50% available in your waiver wire, so I would look to scoop them, but I wouldn't call either of these guys gold.
I like it. Coach Jibs, real quick, go ahead.
I don't think either of them are gold for season-long purposes, but if I had to pick between the two of them, I'm going to go with this is hard because I'm going to go with Dawson Knox just because Michael Gallup still has to come back. The receivers, CeeDee Lamb hasn't been that great compared to his first 2 games of the season, so I think the targets in Dallas are going to be going left and right. Cooper's going to get his. I figured Lamb would get his, but Schultz is going to be splitting time with who's our other guy?
Blake Jarwin.
With Jarwin, but he's also seemed to have gotten a little bit of the edge in that tight end position comparatively with Dak Prescott throwing it to him. But Dawson Knox, on the other hand, he's a big red zone threat for the Buffalo Bills. And I believe he'll have a role all year, regardless of injury and whatnot. So I'm going with there. And Dawson Knox has 6 completions on 7 targets on 3 touchdowns for the year. That's just red zone targets. So
okay.
And he has a 19% target share.
Gotcha.
Tied with Cole Beasley for the team. So
all right.
Better offense, I guess, and more blowouts.
All right. I'm going Dalton Schultz. I just think he is for real. We saw it last year, and you're seeing it again this year where he's just the tight end 1 on this team now, guys. I mean, yes, Michael Gallup isn't there, but they're throwing him the ball, and he's not just getting touchdowns, and it's not his only form of fantasy contributing. He's seeing the yardage, too, with it. I think the offense is favoring the tight end position right now, that they want to keep it shorter, and Dawson Knox, Dalton Schultz is doing it right now. While Dawson Knox, I just think that I don't think anyone's there. I think they're both fool's gold, but I don't think Dawson. I think Dawson Knox is so touchdown dependent that this week, unfortunately, Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley didn't do anything. They're going to bounce back and do more things, and that's kind of how I see it. And I think Dak always loved the tight end, while Josh Allen really has never loved his tight end. So that's kind of why I'm seeing it. So for me, it's Schultz. On Twitter, it was really close. It wasn't too far apart. It was 55% Dalton Schultz and 44% Dawson Knox. So it was a close one. But we are going to wrap things up today, guys. Thank you for listening in. This was our waiver wire show / Fool's Gold. We hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. Justin, let us know where you can find you on Twitter or anywhere else.
Yeah, it's just my name, Justin Pottinger, Pottinger. Follow me on Twitter. Real active.
All right, yo. So give the coach the follow, guys. We'd appreciate it for sure. And as always, guys, you can follow us. You can go on our website at www.thefantasycoaches.com. Got a lot of cool articles going up there constantly. We have a lot of podcasts going on. We have 4 different shows all week long, Monday through Thursday. It's a lot of fun. And, we have our rankings up there and a couple other things that we'll hopefully get out for the rest of the week here. Thanks, Kyle, as always, for joining in, my friend. Always has a great thing going on, Kyle. Appreciate it. And as always, please follow us on Twitter at Coaches Fantasy. If you want to follow me and Coach Jibs, please do so at Coach Stephen P.
Hot take country.
So give us a follow, guys. Give all 3 of us a follow. Ask us fantasy questions. That's what we're here to do. We're doing this for free for you guys. So thank you guys for listening in. Tune in until next time, and have a good one.